Well, hey there. Happy Wednesday. I had to do a double check on the calendar, make sure I actually had the right day. This has actually been a really long feeling week for sure. And I think it's kind of appropriate the timing of this. Today I wanted to pop in here and share with you the number one mistake or reason why when someone is, getting ready to start or has this big goal, dream, or project that they're wanting to get started on, that they're wanting to engage, even if they're super excited about it, what it is that actually prevents them from taking that first step. My name is Megan Summerall. I'm a time management and planning expert for women, and I am on a mission to bring work life harmony into your home through all things time management, organization, and planning. So, let me know if this sounds familiar to you. You've got this big goal, this big project, something that you're super excited about getting started on. And every day you're like, okay, today's the day. And then you have, like, you've maybe even put it on your calendar, you're ready to go. But then you get completely stuck or paralyzed, and you're not able to take that first step because you're stuck in a space of going, I'm not sure where to start, right? There's so much to do, and there's so many places that you could dive in and start on. And we get stuck in this place of not feeling confident in the first step. Now, here's the interesting part about this. It is so easy to solve this problem. But first, I want to help you understand why this is happening to you, what it is that's going on that is making you not know how to start. Well, this all boils down to how you are laying out and tackling this big project, because you may not realize it, but here is what is likely going on in your brain as you are trying to figure out what the first step is going to be. We find ourselves more often than not, if we are embarking in a brand new project, expecting our brain, without any visual tools, without any brainstorming, without anything, to just help us figure out where to start. And so, what is subtly happening is you're asking your brain to do two things at the same time. And when we ask our brain to do this, it's really, really hard. The first thing we're asking our brain to do is to essentially make a mental list of what are all the things that need to happen in order for me to say I've achieved this project or I've achieved this goal. And then we're also asking it to get it all into a timeline and identify what the first step is. That is great for a computer, but it is not great for our brains. So, what we're ultimately trying to ask it to do is to figure out the what, the how, and the when all at the same time. What needs to get done? How am I going to do it? And then when, all in one order. And it seems like we don't realize that all of that's going on, but that's what's happening just by us trying to figure out in our brain what is the first step I need to take on this project. And this is why we get completely paralyzed. We're essentially overloading our brain by asking it to figure out the what, the how, and the when all at the same time. It's going too much. So the good news is this is really, really easy to fix. So the first thing you need to recognize here is that we need to separate those things from one another. We need to separate the what, we need to separate the how, and we need to separate the when. And the best way that you can do this is step one is to actually brainstorm out the what. Meaning, what are all the things that you can think of? What are all the steps that need to get done? What are all the tasks that would need to be completed in order for you to complete this project? And here is the part you need to hear the most. When you're doing this brainstorming, you don't need to get it in order. And it's going to be hard at first because we think, well, I have to create the timeline. We're not doing the timeline. Right now, we're just doing the what. So this work is best done outside of your brain. meaning I love grabbing a stack of sticky notes and using one sticky note for each what that I could think of. What are all the things that I would need to do to complete this project? Get them out of your brain and get them onto a tool that your mind can now see. Because that is the biggest gift you can give your brain when you're trying to figure things out, is to create a visual for it to look at instead of it trying to hold and store all of it in here. So dump out all of the pieces of the what. Once you have all of that out, now you can take that next step of actually starting to think about what seems to be the best order of events. So we're separating the creation of the steps from the actual timeline. So we're only asking our brain to solve one problem at a time. Problem number one, what are all the things that I need to do in order to have this get done? Now, the second problem is, what order of events makes sense? And if we're using that method of having all of those out on sticky notes, it makes it really easy to move things around and get kind of a, first draft of a timeline in place. Now, the third part of it, because remember I talked about that how, is realizing we don't have to answer the how for every single step. We only need to tackle the how on the actual step that we're implementing. So I may have brainstormed, 12 things that need to get done in order to complete this awesome project or goal. I've laid them all out and I've created a timeline. It might be that I know how to execute step one and step two. So now I can get into motion. And then when I come up on step three and realize I don't know the exact how, well, now I can create a task for myself to, kind of I like to use a time boxed research window. Well, you know what? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to allow myself to spend an hour doing research on this to figure out and learn more about the how so that I can continue on. So if you've been given the advice, people often use the phrase like, how do I tackle this big thing? Or how do you, quote, eat the elephant? They'll say one bite at a time. Yes, but again, looking at a big elephant, where do you take the first bite, right? Your brain would have a hard time figuring that out. So it's not as simple as when you're starting a new project going, I just need to do the first step. The reason why you're stuck on knowing what that first step is because you're trying to create the timeline, figure out everything that you need to, and understand what the exact plan is going to be before you even get to step one. So next time you feel that way, ask yourself, am I trying to figure out the what, the how, and the when all at the same time? And if so, that's probably why you're stuck. And then remind yourself, hey, first off, I'm going to brainstorm all the pieces of the what. Then I'm going to do the when part. I'm going to create my first draft of a timeline. And then I'm going to look at the first step and ask myself, do I know how to do this? If so, now you're ready to get into action. If not, your first step might be to research and learn a little bit about step one. I promise you, when you separate all of this out, you're going to have much more success on starting and then actually seeing these bigger projects and goals all the way through. Now, we're going to be doing a lot of this type of work on day one in my annual planning event next week called Planapalooza. It is not too late for you to get your ticket. I am going to be teaching you a lot more in depth about this goal breakdown process, where we have a big project or goal and then figure out, what does that look like? How do I get the what? How do I get the when? How do I get the how? But then we're actually going to take it across the finish line by mapping out a realistic timeline for you to achieve these in 2025. So if you have not grabbed your ticket yet, make sure you head over to megansummerall.com/plan. And remember, with your Planapalooza ticket, you get access to the 2 full days of live training with me, plus all of the recordings in case you have to miss pieces and parts of it. We're going to hold a bonus live 2-hour Q&A session along with your complete digital annual planning guide. It's over 100 pages, everything you're going to need to work through the event with me. Now, when you grab your ticket today, you'll be able to log into kind of the training portal, if you will, and we've already got 7 bonus guest expert pre-recorded sessions there waiting for you to go check out as well. So you can jump in and get excited about 2025 with me today. In the meantime, happy goal setting and happy not getting stuck on the first step. Have a great rest of your day.